this is Dr. Yemi Famuyiwa, your host of Fertile Talks, and I am happy to invite everyone to Fertile Walk 2025. This is going to take place Saturday, October 18th at 9 a.m. in Rockville, starting from 3202 Tower Oaks Boulevard. So this is more than just a walk. It's a fun, family-friendly day packed with health and fitness coaches, a live fertility and wellness talk, local businesses with interactive booths, and plenty of giveaways and surprises. And as an added bonus, the first 10 people to RSVP will be getting a signed copy of my new book that's coming out in March 2026. It's called The Quest for Fertility. Everyone who registers by March 2026 will also be invited to join our exclusive VIP book club with early book excerpts, bonus fertility tips, and special PDF resources. So, spots are limited. Please RSVP. Go to the link in the show notes and RSVP to save your spot. Can't wait to see you there. This episode of Fertile Talks is sponsored by ILMeds.co, an international mail-order pharmacy specializing in fertility medications. If you're looking to save significantly on your fertility treatments without compromising on quality, ILMeds.co is an excellent choice, offering up to 80% of retail prices. And as a special offer to our listeners, use the code FT24 at checkout to receive a $50 discount on your order. For your convenience, you can find a link to their website in the episode show notes. Thank you, and let's get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Have you ever wondered what your AMH really measures? So a lot of people have curiosity nowadays and they get AMH testing done. You can get it done, it's very common. And you get a result. Let's say your result shows a level of 4. That is a great number. Now let's decide, what does this actually mean? Your AMH is a gauge of how many eggs you may potentially have left. What it doesn't tell you is how good those eggs are. For instance, an AMH from someone who's maybe 20 years old, she's younger and may have better eggs. An AMH in a 40-year-old doesn't equate the same things because those eggs are older. Think of your AMH as your gauge on your fuel pump. It tells you how high or low the fuel gauge is. It doesn't give you the octane rating, right? Octane rating in this case will be determined primarily by age. So let's recap that. Your AMH tells you about quantity, and we use that when we're choosing the dose of treatment for certain patients in whatever treatment they're doing. It does not tell you the quality. Now, I recently had a patient who had a very high AMH levels 4, and tubes were found to be open, but in a history of extensive stage 4 endometriosis that was diagnosed on surgery, had surgery to remove all the visible endometriotic implants. So essentially, all the visible implants are gone. Now, an AMH level of 4 in this case scenario is not the same as an AMH of 4 when there's no endometriosis around. Why is that? And that's because endometriosis, though may not be visible, always has some microscopic component to it. And that microscopic component can influence the environment. It causes more like an inflammatory environment. What do we mean by that? That inflammatory environment can interfere with sperm transport. It has to swim up through the uterus, right, to the tube. And it's swimming, it's not in dry land, there's some fluid there. Endometriosis can influence that fluid, so it impacts sperm. Another thing it does, it impacts the eggs, because eggs are in the peritoneal cavity, you're in your ovary, you ovulate, and then it's picked up by the fallopian tube. You're still in this milieu, this soup of fluid, if you will. So it does impact the egg quality. And sometimes, often at times, my embryologist will tell me the eggs look dark, right? When you collect an egg from someone with that, the cytoplasm of the egg looks dark. What does that mean? The cytoplasm, the area around the nucleus, is where most of the metabolism, most of the powerhouse of the cell is located. Like for instance, your mitochondria. Your mitochondria is your power generator for your cell, gives you energy, provides energy for cell division and growth and all that. If you interfere with that, the capacity to divide is diminished. And indeed, we found that women with endometriosis, their eggs have poor developmental potential. In addition to that, the surface of the egg, called the zona pellucida, is slightly irregular. Why do we care about that? Well, that's the surface that the sperm has to bind into in order to trigger fertilization and get into the egg. So if you impact that outer layer, you're going to impact the ability to properly fertilize. Now, we do know from studies, there was a recent cohort study that looked at thousands of patients, and they found that the cumulative live birth rate in patients with endometriosis is about 15% lower than in patients without. Right. So, should we be concerned? I think we have good reason to be concerned. So, doctors who are concerned about this are not necessarily fear mongering. Now, how can the endometriosis affect your fallopian tube? Just because your tube is open doesn't mean they're quite functioning well, if you will. The tube may be slightly bent, twisted, kinked, whatever. So the ability to pick up the egg from the ovary may be diminished. And once the egg is picked up, the ability to move the egg and move the fertilized embryo towards the uterus is also lower in these patients. So there's real reason to be concerned. Now, should we therefore run to IVF? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think that treatment should be tailored, right? So if your tubes are open, you have a high AMH, it means you have eggs. Don't tell us about the quality, but you have eggs. So why don't we give it a shot? You can try simple things. Try and use an ovulation detection kit and try to conceive on your own. You can try timed intercourse, which is when we actually follow along to see if you grow a follicle and then maybe either trigger or it ovulates on its own. And if that doesn't work after several sessions, you can gradually move on to things like intrauterine insemination. So that you can start low and work your way up. It doesn't mean you run for the highest treatment available. And it doesn't mean that doctors who express concern about the presence of endometriosis are fear mongering. I think what it means is that treatment should be individualized and not only individualized, um, patient's response should be tailored to whatever's going on with them. I apologize for that. So again, this is Dr. Famuyiwa with another episode of Fertile Talk. I get these questions that people ask, and that's how I address them. So if you like what you've heard, please like, subscribe, share, and send me comments. Send me questions or issues that you would like me to address next. Again, once again, this is Dr. Famuyiwa from Fertile Talks. Thank you very much. Thank you for tuning in to Fertile Talks. We hope today's episode has provided you with valuable insights and support for your fertility journey. Remember, you are not alone. Now, if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, please simply leave us a comment. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe with a friend. Your ratings, your shares, and your reviews are greatly appreciated and is going to help us serve more of our listening audience. Thank you once again. This is Dr. Famuyiwa.